jaded energy comes from my hatred. Call me the villain, cause I be killing. I got no feeling, I've been dealing with all my demons. I like to feed them, they be chilling, yeah they be screaming. I can hear them in my mind, they just wanna find any fight, any reason.
Dark side, there ain't no place to hide. All your fears are electrified. Welcome to the hard side, where it's all do or die. We're the shadow to the light, I can feel it in my bones. I'm addicted to the thirst, I ain't never letting go, even when it hurts. This is my curse.
Have to be working to deserve it. Adrenaline is surging, ain't no serving. I'm the king, bring me everything that I've ever wanted, that I need. I believe I could be anything, watch me. Give me a second to blow, give me a second to grow. Be at the top of the show, be at the top like a pro. I flip the switch, different mode. No, they ain't laughing, no joke, cause I attack when they won't.
Welcome to the dark side, there ain't no place to hide. All your fears are electrified. Welcome to the hard side, where it's all do or die. We're the shadow to the light, I can feel it in my bones. I'm addicted to the thirst, I ain't never letting go, even when it hurts. This is my curse. I can hear the drums in the distance, I can feel the fear, the resistance. Everything can change in an instant. You might stay alive if you listen. Your best friend is your instincts, don't think. Trust me, everything can change in a blink. Hearts race, I can feel my heart pounding. Hold our heads up and this the chant we'll be shouting. This is war, you won't take me. This is war, you can't break me. It's just me, no saving. I'm the only one who can save me. So stand strong, stand tall, stay up, don't fall. Give it everything you own. No fears, no walls, just fight, no lies. Push yourself to the limit, just to fight for it all.
Then I'm on top of it, I got fuel for days, and some weapons that you can't stop, yeah, I won't think twice, into the enemy won't make it out alive. I got a full supply of energy and might you pick the wrong side, Here I go, taking every single blow to the dome, never slow, pushing through it cause you know that I chose to be known, legendary, I'ma show everybody in this battle that comes close, they exposed, yeah.
This is war, you won't take me. This is war, you can't break me. It's just me, no saving. I'm the only one who can save me. So stand strong, stand tall, stay up, don't fall. Give it everything you own. No fears, no walls, just fight, no lies. Push yourself to the limit, just to fight for it all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Block Sauce, your weekly web show that serves up the juiciest discussions in the world of Web3 gaming. I'm your host and ReNFT ambassador, Jing Kieran. Today, we've got an incredible panel lined up for you, so grab your controllers, crack open a Mountain Dew, and prepare to get your game on. Where's my intro video? Let's fix this. Hang on.
While the intro video load.
There we go. Now everybody can hear us and see us. Hey there, sauce enthusiasts. It's time to bring the heat with another electrifying episode of The Block Sauce. I'm thrilled to introduce our panel of guests. We got Shay and Jorge that are back with us, and Udub joining us yet again. Little last minute guest entry. So how are you guys doing today?
I don't know. All I know is my boy Dub is wearing a Solana Play GG shirt on the freaking Block Sauce live YouTube. I have to start the roast right there, man. I have to, like, Solana gaming. What?
You're gonna literally try to roast video games right now? I spent 2 days playing 30 different video games with G2 esports pros. What other chain's doing that right now?
Ooh, okay.
That's fair.
Okay.
But Neopets did, kind of rugged. Weren't they supposed to be building on Solana?
I'm getting reports that the audio isn't coming through. Let me just double check on my stream.
Kind of rugged. Weren't they supposed to be building?
That's a Solana shirt, man.
It seems to be working for me.
Testing.
So for those that are watching that seem to be having audio issues, I would try refreshing or checking on another platform. It's working.
Oh, you want me to check my Twitter?
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good.
Check the Bird app.
I just got confirmation from Rod that it's working for him too. So whoever's having issues, it's on their end.
Oh, so they're just trolling just like Jorge here.
Sweet. Thank you, Rod.
All right. Well, seems like everybody's doing great. Obviously, we've got a lot going on in Web3 right now. Today, we're going to kick things off with the Google announcement. They are now allowing games that are Web3 enabled. So now you can use your NFTs and stuff like that on the Play Store. That is big, right, guys?
Will you be able to do that on your Solana mobile phone, Dub, or no?
Yeah, I mean,
Dude, it is
Android. You're fighting the wrong argument here, and I would just back up now. I mean, the other important thing with Google, this isn't new. This has been going on. 3 months ago, I was playing, I can't remember the game, but I got a Polygon NFT for playing. I was able to put it straight on the marketplace, all through Google Play. This has been here, and it's nice to see a formalization and an acknowledgement. It's just Google doing what they have to do, and it's what everyone's doing. They're slowly creeping and like getting everyone warmed up. Like if you were there at Play GG, you would have saw how G2 was like a core component of this event. And it's really good to see Web2 organizations, big and small, from all over the industry, taking small little bitty steps towards introducing Web3 to their audience in a way that's not going to get their neck snapped right away, right? Like that's the whole play going on here.
Well, I think that's right there the issue, right? I mean, the issue has always been that we haven't used the right language, and it's been kind of a scammy way of Web3 games. And so I think everybody now that's taking the time to educate those others. I mean, you even look at politics, right? I mean, we always were shoving down crypto this, crypto that, and they're like, we don't even know what crypto is, so we're going to say no to it. And now that people are educating others and saying, taking the time, like, this is, I think, exactly with Google. Look at Apple, you look at Google, you look at everybody right now. Everybody's now understanding what exactly the technology is, and like understanding that it does make a difference. And there is something there. It's just, again, using the right words and being educated about it.
Yeah, completely agree. I feel like it's a big win for our space. And even with the XRP lawsuit, I feel like as a community, we're sort of embarking on this new paradigm shift of more acceptance. So I feel like we've had a few big wins lately, like as a space, and I'm excited about it. And as Jorge said, like I think the responsibility falls on us as these big corporations start to adopt Web3 more. The responsibility falls on us, like people who are actually on the ground, to like not shill scams and call like play to earn games out, and just like be stewards of the space and show that we're not like NFTs, play to earn gaming, blockchain gaming, Web3 gaming has a stigma around it for a reason because of past failures. So the responsibility falls on us to like do better and be really strategic and intentional with our messaging and what we're putting out there.
Do we know?
Oh, go ahead, Jink.
I was gonna say, do we know if they're taking a cut? Because Apple came in and was like, "Yeah, we'll let you sell assets and whatever in app after we take our 30% cut."
Much less of that, and it's really interesting watching them work hand in hand with Mythical Games right now because they specifically have some language around case openings and gacha experiences and how close that is to gambling, right? Where it's like if the user does not know exactly what's in that case, it's gambling. So mythical packs right now, they're labeling it, but it's funny because gamers like me, I saw Kagi doing it as well, like we're just ripping these packs open and not even looking at those details, right? So it's like it's just what gamers are going to do what they do. The other thing I was going to say earlier is like as this happens, Web3 is growing into the part where it's segmenting, and it's important for us to not say that we're owners of it all of Web3. Like find your segment and be in your segment, but for us to start arguing over things like, oh, Solana sucks or whatever, it just makes no sense. It's about gaming being gaming and us supporting one another and having segments. Like Solana, that event felt very indie to me, and it felt like the place where like indie Web3 games go, and with the asterisks of Star Atlas and whatever, it's gigantic.
I'm gonna go buy a Solana bag right now.
Okay, crypto. So like that's not what we need to be telling people, right? Like it's like, no, I'm gonna go play these games and explore these games and get involved in these games now so that I can make sure I get my achievements, my recognition for when these games go more public, that I'll be in a much better spot and I'll have the rare stuff right out the gate because I earned it from their questing or whatever it may be.
But talk to us about, like you're big, of course, coming from the Solana Play GG. Like, where are we with like the onboarding still? Like, where are we with being able to like play? You're mentioning you're playing these games. It's cool and all that, but like, what is the onboarding experience still like?
So if you were going to Comic-Con and heading to San Diego, a lot of people didn't even purchase Comic-Con badges. They go to the free events around. So luckily, there was a free gaming event around that basically anyone around the area could go to. There was also a couple fancy, it was the solar powered car, Aptera or whatever, that also brought in a large audience. And basically through live events that are close to gamers and adjacent to gamers, for them to literally walk around, peruse, and everyone had a laptop in their live demo up to play the game. That looked like a lot of onboarding to me.
No. I'm asking you about like how's still the onboarding to like get into some of these games. Like, is it still like, connect your MetaMask, collect your Phantom wallet?
No. I mean, we're all way past. That was our preschool days. Like we don't even need to talk about that.
We're in kindergarten now.
And like users literally sign up like they do sign up for other games, and then a custodial wallet gets set up on the back end behind. That's it. Like that's the way it is now. Don't go back to those old arguments. They're done.
No, I'm asking you. You're coming from Play GG. I'm trying to find out now. This is me asking you the questions now.
Yeah. I'm not going back to that old like, oh, there's too many processes, too many steps. I even saw people. Finally, crypto Twitter was like, oh, well, look at CSGO. Look at all the steps you got to do this. Look at all the steps you got to do that. Gamers don't care, man. They'll jump through hoops to play the games they want to play. Like these kids were literally pushing people out of their way, like causing physical violence to go play EVIO, and it was like, they're going to do what they want to do to play the game,
All day. We've always said that gamers will do whatever they have to take to play the games. Now, will the audience for all gamers be able to do that, right? I mean, you look at like an 8-year-old or 10-year-old. Would they be able to do what they need to do to play a game? Sometimes they can't, right? And so like you look at even like the age of the older generations, right? Would they be able to do that? And so like, is simplicity still a thing for onboarding, for playing some of these games, a need?
Yeah, but there's also, keep in mind that kids that are like 5 years old or 3-year-olds are getting onto their parents' accounts and spending thousands of dollars on Roblox, Amazon, Nintendo Switches, whatever. I mean,
Why are
like,
you personally
that's
attacking me?
So
that's
so
I
I got something for this. Viewer just commented, and I'm gonna have to agree with them. Remember when you needed 6 floppy disks just to install a game? I actually do remember those days. I'll tell you right now, gamers want a game. Can it be more streamlined? Can onboarding be more simplified? Yes, 100%. But do I think that's what's deterring gamers from playing right now? I do not. I just jumped through hoops. I can't talk too much about it. I'm just going to say that there is a game from a very large publisher that goes by the name of Ubisoft that gave me access to a upcoming game after I had to sign a bunch of paperwork, and so I will keep my mouth closed. Then I had to go download the Ubisoft launcher. Then I had to connect my Ubisoft account to my other account, and then I could finally download the freaking game, right? So gamers will 100% jump through hoops to play something if it is deemed worth playing. I think that is our biggest problem right now, is a lot of these games, whether it be, Google Play or Apple, they're not necessarily something I want to jump through hoops for. I think that's the real problem.
Absolutely. And I think the word indie was used, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great word, because I think what I'm interested in seeing happening, or I'm not sure if it's going to happen, is more of a crossover between these big corporations and the indie Web3 gaming culture. And that's what I would consider us, like, the builders of this culture. Like, we have our ears to the ground. We're part of the community. We're going to these events. We're playing these games. We're talking to the founders. Like, where is that crossover between these big corporations and like the indie Web3 gaming culture?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're actually like in the space. So I would like to see some like more conversations happening there, because I think looping us in, like looping the indie gamers in and like the indie culture in, could help them avoid some of like the big mistakes that they make, and not come off like as tone deaf.
What you got, Deb? I know you're going to say something a minute ago.
And I completely agree. Like, it's just I think it's in a really interesting place right now. And I think chains are starting to segment from each other. Like, when I look at AVAX and I look at their offering, I feel like it's close to that AAA feel of across the board. Then when like I said, with Solana, it felt very indie, like I thought games that like were like, okay, like a micro community might really like this, but like, that's great. And I don't know. I think like maybe where my attacks came at from Jorge was more that I think we should stop saying and complaining and vocalizing these topics that are old topics, because they just are unattractive to gamers. They just make us angry, and we're arguing over. I feel like we've been in these cycles of arguing over stuff that's like mute points at the.
Jorge's the instigator on this show. That's his role.
Well, but that's the thing. Jorge has a point, because if we think but you do have a point. I want to stress that both sides are actually right, believe it or not, because yes, onboarding can be more streamlined. Again, people don't necessarily want to learn about the Web3 tech. They don't want to learn how to create a wallet. They want to go to the game, sign up for an account, and log in. Simple as that. And it's the wallet side that kind of starts to deter people. And then especially once you want to buy in-game assets, then you have to learn how to buy crypto from a centralized exchange, transfer it to the wallet, blah, 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 bridges, yada, yada. And I feel like there is room for improvement, 100% on onboarding. But do I think it's the biggest deterrent? That's where I'm hung up. I don't think it's the biggest.
Yeah, I mean, Sedona said it last week, right? Casey said it, that 95% of Web2 gamers will X out of the game once it says connect wallet. 95%. Like, there's 150 million gamers? What is it? Like something wild? So you're telling me 95% will say no? So we need to figure that out, right? And Dub is right. Like, we're talking about something that happened preschool, but it's still happening here in today's world. Like, what was the game last week? Was it House of Mafia or one of those that just released? And the first thing they're like, yeah, go play the game. I'm going to go play the game. The first thing it says, like, connect wallet. I'm like, really? Like, come on. Like, you built
think it's necessarily just the onboarding. I feel like it's like just the stigma of the space, like of Web3 and NFTs that just like turns people off.
Well,
it does. But look at CSG Go, right? Like, and what Bryce and Dub are saying, right? Like, it's all right. That is Web3, right? Like that the whole like the way they do everything. It's just that they don't have the wording, right? Like there's no
I think
word.
the past like failures too, like Axie, whatever, like all these like rug pulls and stuff that have happened have just like deemed a bad rep for the space. Like everyone thinks that we're just out to get, we're just like out to do rug pull and out to get everyone's money.
Well, there is. And I think what we exist in is there's two types of games. There's games that are built for us, for the crypto degens that have mints, have rarity, and are like, yeah, let's trade floors and everything. And then there's games that are building for this longer term and doing that. And they're probably right now on their latest builds removing wallet and all of that stuff. Like,
yeah, there's actually a game on the App Store. It's a game. It's sponsored and partnered with FIFA, and it's actually from a Web3 collection community called Futureverse, Fluff World, Altered State Machine. Maybe we should go into it deeper next week. But it's actually on the App Store, and you're essentially creating a wallet, but you don't even know that you're doing that. And they've been like super strategic with like and intentional with the onboarding process. And it's got like, it's on the App Store, on the Android and App Store. And so many people are playing, and it's like a great user experience. And it's like a Web3 game, but you don't know it.
So a little devil's advocate here, because, I agree that the wallet thing is a deterrent, but do you think that that's just because people aren't used to Web3 technology and wallets? Because I think about Steam, right? If I want to go play CSGO, I can't just download the game, create an account, and sign in. No, I have to download Steam. I have to create an account with Steam. Then I have to download it through Steam. See what I'm saying? So Steam is kind of like our wallet in this situation. You have to go through all these other tools and systems. That's a great analogy.
Honestly, like traditional gamers have to, you guys get your gear, you guys get all this stuff, download all these things. Like, I feel like there's already a bunch of steps that like hardcore gamers like go through to up level their gaming experience. So
there is. But again, the issue is that they hear Web3 and they hear crypto and they hear NFTs and it's like, and you're like,
so you're saying Shay's point is right, and it's more the stigma that's the deterrent than the actual wallet.
Like, you ever have a conversation with somebody about Bitcoin even till this day? Some people are just like, it's wild to even some people, the conversations you still have with them, they're like, fake internet money. And I'm like, yeah, fake internet money. Like, is your money in your bank account right now real or fake? Because can you go to the bank and withdraw $1 million in cash? No, it's still digital. It's all digital nowadays. And look at what Fed now just came out. Like, we're in the world. Like,
so I'm of the belief that as these stigmas die, because now we have governments jumping on board, they're starting to utilize, promote, and regulate the technology. So I think that's going to put more faith for people. They're going to, have a little bit more trust in it now that it's starting to have those regulations in place. And I think that means that as people get more comfortable with the idea and we take down those stigmas, they'll start to use the technology, and there won't be that type of barrier anymore because it's going to be a norm. It's like when credit cards first came out, right? Everybody wanted to use cash. Nobody wanted to use the card because they didn't trust it.
People used to write checks.
Yep, checks. I almost forgot about checks. They would rather write a check and inconvenience themselves than just swipe the card real quick. Technology takes time to adopt, and I think that's what's going on here. And the reason I see this Google Play thing being so big, and especially with the prominent announcement, is the fact that now people will be using this technology whether they know it or not. Whether it's custodial wallet or your own wallet. This is kind of being pushed onto people. I don't think it should be forced by any means. I don't think gaming should force it on people and make you create a wallet. But I think that, like Google Play, for example, Shay was just saying there's a game already out there that creates a wallet for you and everything. Well, once people want to start trading and stuff, that's going to encourage them to learn about their wallet, how to manage it, how to transfer, how to trade, how to sell, stuff like that. And it starts with one app, and then all of a sudden they start going, well, what other Web3 apps are there that I can possibly profit from? What other fun games are there? So it goes from I'm playing a game to I'm learning about the tech to I want to play more of these games. You see what I'm saying?
I don't know if it's I don't know if the word like force is the right word, because if you look at like history in like with Spotify and music, right? Like you went from CDs to MP3s. You look at your cell phone that now if you load a brand new phone, any new phone, I think the third thing is hey, connect your wallet, or like wallet pay, and like connect your credit cards to this. So like I don't know if the right word is force, right? Like it's just a natural evolution of technology, right? Like you went from, again, CDs to MP3s to like Spotify to like play the damn music. I don't care how you play the music, play the damn music.
It's hard, man. It's really hard comparing this to other innovations and other tech and stuff, because I heavily compare it to sports, because when you look at sports, they're basically games that have been along for longer and have stuck, right? And like people are very resistant to change in the things that they do and love and for a long time, right? And like games like Overwatch, game like literally 5+ years. This is new. This is a way, like that's why people, they feel like their thing is being attacked, I guess, and that's where a lot of this transition comes to. And I specifically believe that one of these like legacy titles is going to move into Web3 over the next like 3 years, and that's going to be a major catalyst for this entire market and everything. Like it's going to be one that's like really struggling right now and is like a last ditch effort to like compete with CS:GO or something like this. Like maybe it is, maybe, like it's not crazy to say that
Totally
those execs, like I've talked to them at GDC. The way they talk about this is like we're making the plans, we want to do it, we have all the business models for it, but the community, the public hates it. And until
also regulations, I feel like as regulations like get more clear, like these AAA like corporations will feel more comfortable.
Well, there's another point that just came from Graslow. One issue is gamers have learned to mistrust game studios' motives and assume that they are trying to extract more money from them while giving them less value. I'm going to have to hard agree with that, which makes Web3, pitching Web3 to gamers even harder, because just look at Call of Duty, right? They're shutting down Warzone 1 and forcing players into Warzone 2, but they never transferred any of the purchases from Warzone 1 to Warzone 2. So now players are being forced to repurchase everything. We see live service games shutting down. Like it almost feels like there's a new shutdown every month at this point. And it's like these games spin up these servers, they take a bunch of money through microtransactions, and then some of them don't even make it a year before they just shut down and they're done. So I'm kind of with him on this.
I mean, if you're talking Web 2, yes. I'm talking about, if you're talking Web 3, the simple answer is most of these Web 3 game founders have never in their lives put together a business plan understanding what a runway is. And they go raise $2 million or $4 million and thinking that's enough to build a game. You are out of your wildest dreams if you think $4 million is enough money to build a game. You're hallucinating. I mean, there's no way.
You're right, 100%. We're just saying that that whole situation compounds on the stigmas that we're seeing with Web3, because if you're already having issues getting players to trust Web2 companies, it is that much harder to get them to trust a Web3 company, right? So I agree with you, but I also agree with Graslow.
it makes me think that it's a good thing that some of these Web3 games like crash and burn in a public way, because then the public's going to see like, oh, hey, this sketchball game here that was like clearly built for degens couldn't survive and make it. So maybe there is value there to the ones that do make it,
Yeah, I agree with that. Which, speaking of games, that's a good segue into the next topic. Apparently, Neopets is ditching Web3. I saw the tweet. I don't know how to feel about this. So I grew up with Neopets, and I'm sure some of you might have. I saw them doing their mint and everything back during the Fractal days, and I wanted to jump in, but something was nagging me. Like, is this an official Neopets collection, right? So I kind of held off. But now seeing that they've raised over $4 million from multiple chains, and then all of a sudden they're like, nope, we're done with Web3. It's kind of like, You took the money and ran?
I mean, after this whole conversation that we've just been talking for the past 30 minutes, wouldn't you leave Web3 too? I mean, like, no offense, but like, hey.
But why are you going to take Web3 money, build in Web3, and then run?
Well, first of all, I think the leaving Web3, I think, is a lot because of the community's backlash about Web3, right? Like,
probably.
Right? And so if we look at what we just talked about, and I tell everybody, hey, I'm going to go build the Web2 game, and no one knows about it being in Web3, kind of like how you and Dub are saying that, like, now some of these games have a bit on the Play Store and you don't even know, and it's like forced. Well, maybe you win back your community, you go release the game, and you tell everybody 6 months later, by the way, it's all on you have a wallet in the behind the scenes, and we did build in Web3, but we didn't want to tell you guys because all you guys did was FUD us. But now that you play the game, you fucking love the game. Guess what? You're here. That's my take.
I want to agree, but the Ni no Kuni is an example of why you definitely do not do that, because it was a Web 2 game. Everybody knows it's a big brand within Web 2. It's very popular within the JRPG market. And when they came out with their mobile game, everybody loved it. I downloaded it and bought into it day one. And then I would say probably within 24 to 48 hours, people had already data mined the blockchain technology from the back end, right? So they knew Web3 was coming, and it pissed everybody off because it was never made known that it was going to be a Web3 game. They never talked about dabbling in blockchain, and the community absolutely went into an uproar. It got review bombed on the app stores. I don't think that that's a good way to go. So I'm pretty sure Neopets is out. I think they're going to go back to Web 2 and stay there.
It honestly, like, I did some research on it because I grew up with Neopets too. I loved Neopets. I mean, the whole thing was kind of a dumpster fire from the start, and there was actually a huge petition from the existing small but existing like dwindling player base of Neopets to not do this for like a few reasons. Well, first of all, so the Neopets team probably wasn't even involved in like this decision. It was a decision by like NetDragon or Jumpstart, which are like the corporate owners of Neopets, who spun off like this Neopets metaverse thing. And the first day that it was actually announced, the official Neopets Twitter account called it a scam because they were like, we don't know what this is. And so the existing Neopets community was like, WTF, like the Neopets team's not even involved. And like, you don't even own the rights to your NFT artwork. It's actually, you just Neopets actually retains the copyright, and you just have like a slip of paper that points to the PNG image, which is so not Web3, so not decentralized. So, and apparently like the existing user base has been waiting for so many features for like years. There's so many things on the website that like doesn't work. Yeah. So they were just kind of like, you guys just raised all this money, and like, now you're launching these NFTs. You're not even involving like the official team, and you're not fixing all the stuff that we've needed for years. So I think it was just, the whole thing was like a dumpster fire from the start. And I'm also wondering, like, these Web3 VCs that they raised money from, can they not like hold them accountable? Like,
yeah. That's the other thing, is they're contractually obligated, and these deals are predicated based off transaction volume more often than less. So like they might have gotten an initial bit that I bet these firms are just going to chuck it up as an L and just like not pursue legally because it might just be like not worth it on the P&L. But I mean, this was so clearly them trying to catch the market, the wave, where it was, and to build a thing for degens. Like, once again, like that, it was just a Hail Mary save of their entire org, it sounded like, based off the Web 2 history and all of that. I mean, honestly, for me, I never even knew about them until this. So, I mean, pretty poor marketing overall.
It kind of reminds me of those Nickelodeon NFTs. Like, oh, come here, buy our NFTs. Well,
don't hate on my Rugrats. That was cool. Okay, no.
I love nostalgia. Cool. I love Nickelodeon. I almost bought into it, but I was like, what am I doing with this? And they're like, well, if you hold this, you can buy more of our NFTs. And I'm like, so I buy an NFT that allows me to buy more NFTs? They're like, yeah. I'm like, no,
they sold it. They sold it wrong. What was really cool was you could combine the Rugrats.
I knew about that, but you had to buy more Rugrats.
Yeah, but like it was a cool way to interact with their IP and to create new things. And like,
how many Rugrats did you buy?
None. I right click saved 1 million of them though. It was a blast. I appreciate them building and creating and like making new IP, you know, like that was cool. I didn't participate in trying to flip them. Like I was smarter than that, but you know,
man, freaking Dub over here pulling the Web 2 Uno reverse card. Haha, right click saved your JPEGs.
Yeah, it was cool. It's a unique Rugrat that I you know, like I grew up on that thing, man, and seeing this finally
I'm gonna go sell my Rugrats right now.
Good luck. Man. There's no liquidity there to even sell it if you wanted to. You could floor it, and you're gonna have to wait probably 6 months or something.
I'm just saying though, if these projects like Neopets and Nickelodeon, if they presented me a legitimate game, right, I would have bought them out in a heartbeat. Like I would have probably spent as much as my budget would have allowed, just because of nostalgia combined with actual value / utility. But the way that the projects were sold, at least whenever I, inquired and dug into it, it's literally just buy and maybe one day you'll have actual utility.
They're asking for seed money, like they're just asking you guys, like asking us to contribute.
Which is fine.
That's fine. All the Web3 games. That's all the Web3 games.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, that's fine. It's just make that known, like be upfront with people about your mint and what the intent is.
But there you go, right there is again these Web3 strategies of doing NFT mints and then putting out the game. Like I rather, like you guys are saying, go say you're doing a Series A, go say you're doing a pre-seed, and the NFT that is to build the game. Cool, because like what happened here is exactly you now all of a sudden hate Neopets when you love Neopets. But if Neopets had told you that was an NFT and then they come out with the game, you probably would have fucking took your whole paycheck and went and bought every single NFT because like that's how excited you were about it, right? Like. To anybody would have done that, right? Again, it's some of these marketing tactics that we have in Web3 to wanting to like build games are not the way to do it. Like,
you're better off going to Kickstarter.
Yeah, they're completely abandoning the NFT collections now. I think they put in their statement like we'll continue to support the community and keep the Discord, the Neopets Metaverse Discord server open. But it's like, and it's like. I know everything's decentralized, but maybe there should be some type of like governing body or like DAO that holds like people or like corporations, projects like this. Like they have $4 million, they should refund some of these NFT people, at least like the mint price. Like it's just ridiculous that this happens. And I've bought into mints like this too, but it just goes to show like even Neopets is a pretty like well-recognized brand, right? And they just essentially sort of did like a rug pull. And it just goes to show like you're not, it's this space is so it's just so speculative. Like everything is a risk. So you always have to like DYOR NFA.
I think it's important to say that it's not all Web3 games that are going this route though. Like right off the bat, I think of the Machines Arena, Grand Saga, like it's more this like play to mint kind of experience. And like I'm cool with that, especially as like an alpha. These are alpha games, alpha experiences that normally when you participate in them, like I'm thinking about X Defiant, the finals, it's like you're honored to be there. Like you're not getting nothing, like, and then there's even some that are like, oh, NDA and like no prizes, but it's interesting.
But you mentioned 2 game studios that have Web2 game experience, right? You talk about Machine and Grand Saga, right? Like these are Web2 game developers, right? In the Web3 space. So again, they understand, they know marketing from a Web2 game side of it. So like, I think they're doing it right because they know how to market to gamers. And I think Web3 games sometimes don't know how to market to gamers. And I don't know if we just get like excited, like that we, minted a new, like the developer just created a new gun or a new skin. And then they're like, let's go make a mint today. I don't know if that's what happens behind the scenes. Maybe, but that's not the way, right? And you look at Grand Saga, like doing it the right way, doing a play test only for a week, having enough hours there for gamers and content creators to create 12 hours of game experience that they could go out and like create content for weeks while they work on the next development of their game. Like those are the right ways to do it if you're going to do it that way, right?
Well, you just mentioned something, and this is something I was preaching last year, and I was told it would probably never happen, and that's Web 2 developers moving into the Web 3 space. I have been warning these projects that, hey, like your methods aren't going to necessarily work. What is stopping a Web 2 company from moving into this space right now, mimicking your game but doing it better? And they were always like, "Oh no, they would work with us. They wouldn't just come in here and compete." It's like, what? Do you not realize? Look, as much as we like to believe that Web3 is a family and none of these games are competing together, and the way forward that we're all going to make it is we all work together, it's not the reality of business. It's not. At the end of the day, not only are Web3 games competing against each other, especially with if you're within the same genre, right? Dead Drop, for example, is going to be competing for the same people that are going to be interested in Forge Arena or EVIO, because they're all FPS, fast-paced shooter type games, right? Where was I going with this?
I think it's a
Wow.
little bit more segmented than that.
No,
but
it
yeah.
is, but you're also going to be competing against these Web 2 companies, because if you're coming in touting yourself as the Call of Duty of Web 3, and then Call of Duty implements Web 3, you're now dead in the water. 100%, because who is going to leave their years upon years of Call of Duty, whether it be Web 2 or Web 3 Call of Duty, right? They have been playing this game for years. They have friendships, they have history with this game, and all of a sudden it has the same stuff that your game has. There's no incentive for them to move to your Web 3 knockoff. We have to be aware that these Web 2 companies will move into this space. They will already have these experiences that Jorge was talking about, and it won't be that difficult if they have the budget and developers behind them to come in and steamroll this space. Because as it was mentioned earlier, a lot of the developers right now, they're still indie. There's a lot of bootstrap projects that are struggling right now, and with the current market conditions, some of them are even shuttering. Like, they've had to close doors, close up shop, and give up. And I don't think that that's going to get better.
Yeah, and I think CSGO is actually a prime example of that, because with ownership of assets, one of the biggest things that we preach is being able to sell it and being able to cash out and owning your assets. Well, CSGO already does that and has been doing that and is owning it, right? And they do allow crypto into this. You know, you can go onto third-party platforms, use your ETH, use your whatever token to buy cases and buy things, and it's happening, and they allow it, and it's a strategy to keep their core with them because they have this financial loop and it's stuck. And like, why would they come over to crypto and do it? Because they're doing just fine here with their financialized shooting gameplay, whatever we want to call it. Like, that core demographic is like really being fought over now, and it's like, it's so weird. I look at it as a war.
Well, Grazlo just came in with a good comment. I don't necessarily 100% agree with the whole thing, but he says, I do think Web3 studios will pioneer the space. Web2 studios will come for the easy money. The captive gamer audience playing poor quality games has shrunk. I would argue that, yes, I think that Web3 studios are pioneering the space. We're figuring out what works, what doesn't. Web2 is obviously going to start copying, like they already have. But I don't think necessarily that Web2 studios are moving here for easy money. I feel like if that were the case, there would be a lot less concern about the community outcry. When I think about that, for example, EVE Online, I know they've officially announced Web3 finally, but they had been researching it previously and it became known to the community. And they were like, no, like the community was like flat out, no, if you do this, I'm canceling my subscription. I'm done with EVE Online, blah, blah, blah. And they came out and were like, no, guys, we're just researching. We're not actually doing anything Web3, we promise. And the community was happy with it. So they went on their merry way. But now it's coming out, hey, you know, we're doing a Web3 game anyway. It'll be separate. So that way, you know, their original community isn't going to raise their pitchforks again. But I think to think that Web3 is easy money might be a bit of a fallacy. Was there easy money once upon a time? Probably. But if you're building, especially in this current market, anybody that chooses to move now is probably doing so more for the tech, in my opinion. And, you know, it was mentioned like Grand Saga and Machines Arena. They've they came out of nowhere with a playable game, 100%. And I think that, yeah, exactly. And I think that's because they believe in the tech. I don't know about Machines Arena. I haven't followed them too much since my initial experience with them, but Grand Saga still doesn't have a token. They haven't sold any NFT collections. So they're not, from my perspective, really here for the money. But somebody like Square Enix with Symbiogenesis, for example, I don't know how much you guys have looked into Symbiogenesis, but that to me screams that they came here for easy money. The way that the game works is it's based on a collection. You have to collect all of the characters or work with the community to actually get the full story of the game. And the reason I see that as a major, like, hey, let's move in and get easy money, is because I have not played a game ever where I am forced to collect all of the characters for the story. Now, there have been games like Skylanders where you might need a set amount, but usually the base game comes with what you need to play through the whole story at least. And then all the extra characters are for extra content. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't 100% agree that Web 2 games are coming here for easy money, but I think that there is some cases to be had.
But what is the cost for collecting some of these characters?
I don't know the cost anymore. The mint was actually free, which obviously that seems to be the new meta. But players have been trading them on their own, so you'd have to go look at the store. But a game like Stella Fantasy, for example, comes to mind because you need a full party to really enjoy that game. And their characters were costing me, I believe it was the minimum, like catching a good sale was $100. But if you wanted to mint, I think it was 150 per character. And keep in mind, if you want to rank your character up, you need multiples of the same fucking character. You see how that's not a clear like monetization money grab type of problem?
Totally.
I did buy Stella Fantasy, unfortunately. There's some buyer's regret there. But it is what it is. So I don't know. I think Grazzo has a great point. Nonetheless, Web3 studios are pioneering this space 100%. I don't think that anybody can argue against that.
There's no doubt about it. I just think there's just not enough money to really build out like these real game, like a full game yet. Like we're going to run out of money to build out. Like your team has to grow to a certain point to be able to build out. And I think like, it's just hard. It's hard right now. It's not easy. And the bear market's not helping at all. And so like, there's a lot of things right now that like, not helping, and there's things they are helping, right?
That's actually a great segue into the next one, which is VC funding, which seems to be drying up.
Yeah. Drying up, I think, is a strong word. I think VCs are finally getting smarter about investing and like asking the right questions because, hey man, I come from the VC space, right? And I'll tell you, man, like I used to like scratch my head when I'd be like, so why don't we ask for a resume like on the founder? And they're like, no, these guys got it. Like they're good. They're gonna build like this next thing. And I'm like, it's a pitch deck. Like we got sold on a pitch deck, and it's like, yeah, cool. And then like all these other VCs are gonna invest, and I'm like, what? Working in you work in the traditionals market, like for fundraising, man, did you have to put together a fucking like? It took, I don't know, probably a good month to build a real data room where like there's actual real information about like the people, the team, the roadmap, the financials, the projections, and all this stuff. In Web3, we have zero of that. It's a really, really pretty pitch deck, and whoever has the prettiest pitch deck and can sell cars to fucking Eskimos will win.
Well, and that's AI right now.
I was about to say,
they just moved. The dog is chasing a new bone, essentially, is what going on now. And the VCs that are here now, talking to them, it's so cool. Like there's so much more in the details. There's so much more like it's a breath of fresh air, actually, because just like how it was with the game and game devs, like the market just shook out all the like ones who are here on a like 80% financial incentive. And without researching and like, looking for the quick buck, and it's cool. I like the state that we're in, actually.
So,
absolutely.
oh, did you have something?
Yeah, I have actually seen like data rooms and stuff from some of these Web3 like projects and things. I think from what I've heard from VCs is like I think they really go off of like the meta and like they're like like Dub said, like they're just chasing like the next bone. And I think Web3 gaming in particular right now, they whatever like I always just hear like, yeah, it's just like that meta, that narrative is just isn't strong right now. So we're not really looking to invest. And I think like I think I think we'll start to see the emergence of like more AI and Web3 gaming projects. So that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, I saw a tweet saying like AI should be in the wallet, and that's started making me think, and like the warnings that it could essentially give, and the simplified language it could provide, and
Yeah, well,
it's super interesting.
There's a project called Altered State Machine that is essentially like pioneering building decentralized AI and democratizing AI, and you own these like brains as NFTs, and you train your AI to like do different things, and it's all decentralized and on Web3, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and the whole dog on a bone thing, I was actually speaking in Older Space yesterday. You have to think of it from an investor standpoint, right? Investors are always going to look for what may be revolutionary or brand new because that's what generally is going to bring in the most profits. Unfortunately, it feels like blockchain and Web3 has run its course. We've kind of hit a wall in terms of how far investment is going to take it. I know Jorge said that we haven't built out as much as we could, and that's true. But investors don't care. They want the fastest return possible. And right now, AI is the hotness. So it would make sense that they're going to be transitioning from blockchain and gaming into AI. But what happens once AI starts being put into games? That money's going to come back and we're going to start to see more AI in gaming, but it might not necessarily be Web3, right? Because you don't need to be Web3 to implement AI. And NVIDIA has been working on these really cool new systems that will allow developers to use AI inside of their games. So like you can talk to NPCs in real time and they'll respond. It's not pre-scripted responses, right? And I think that is going to be huge for gaming. Now, as far as whether or not AI is going to revolutionize the whole world, I don't know. I'm watching TikTok and seeing these NPC kids like act like robots anyway. So maybe AI can be the new like leader in what humanity should look like moving forward. I don't know, but right now it seems like it's just taking jobs. No, but for real though, like it does seem like AI is at this current stage, it's doing more harm than good because it's just taking employment from people. I say this as somebody who, I went to college for art. I do my own animation and editing and all that stuff with my content. And I'm seeing all these tools come out and I'm like, oh, this is great. I don't have to do this anymore, right? But I'm looking at it from an employment perspective and I'm seeing people constantly post, oh, an AI took my job. And I was like, oh, it never happened to me. I'm in tech, right? I work in IT. Well, now my boss has been writing scripts using ChatGPT and automating a lot of my job. I very well could be out of a job by the end of the year. They're talking about moving the manager out here to come take over the branch again. And at that point, there's no need for me to be here. So that's why you have to learn to leverage the technology while you can. So I'm learning game design. I'm learning how to make games in Unreal and stuff while I can, because eventually I might lose my job to AI and I need a backup plan.
Yeah. I do think like you're seeing like prompt engineer jobs and stuff pop up. So I do think like if you can like stay ahead of the curve and really, really learn the technology and learn how to use it, then like an organization can like find value in that.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound cold or anything, but I think this is just normal, and it happened 10 years ago with something else, right? Like just every market has evolutions, and like
true.
This is just gonna I feel so empowered. Like I couldn't have done what I've done over the last year without this tech.
Yep.
I took advantage of it early. We didn't have the funding to pay someone to do that stuff. Like for me, it's forcing the world to change, forcing the market to change, and forcing people that are impacted by this to change careers. And whether that's for the better or not, it's happening, and that's just part of the world.
How you feeling about AI? Oh,
I'm an eternal optimist, so I definitely agree with that take.
I mean, but AI has been around for how long now?
Not to this capacity, let's be honest.
I mean,
AI has been around for a long time, but I could not literally go and tell it to write an entire script for a TV show, right? It wasn't that functional in the past.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I agree. I just think, like, again, AI has been around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
You have to know how to adapt to it as over time, and those who adapt to it, yes, succeed. Those that don't want to take it on don't succeed. And you almost kind of like relate it. I don't know. I guess you could relate to like doctors, right? Like, look at doctors' offices sometimes, and like how some old school doctors haven't really changed some of their practices to all the new technology that there is out there, right? Like you walk into like a newer generation doctors, and you're walking in and they like do like the full scans and everything right away, and like the older school doctors, they're like still got the big machine. But it just like something like that, right? It's just you have to learn how to adapt to make your life easier.
I agree, but I don't know. Whenever I thought about the AI revolution, I didn't expect it to be the one taking over for like painting and script writing and stuff like that. I want AI to take over like construction jobs or sewage cleaning. Like the whole point was of AI was to make our lives easier so we can enjoy life again. And instead we're creating AI that do the things we're supposed to be enjoying.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, I think that's like a huge debate, especially for the creative community, like writers, painters, artists, whatever. Like, it's caused like a huge like insecurity, or just, I think a lot of these people are feeling like lost in terms of like where they fit in. So I think, yeah, I don't know, like as a creative person, as like a writer, like I totally like can relate to that too. It's definitely interesting because I sort of have a love-hate relationship with it, because I definitely like have incorporated AI into my workflow, and it's helped me with like client work. But from like, you think about like poetry or whatever else, like all this stuff can be like done so easily now. So it's like, how is authenticity and expression like still going to be appreciated like in the same way that it has been in the past? I don't know.
Man, yeah, I guess I'm a bad person. Like I like that all this is happening because it's forcing everyone to be better. It's like I think AI is taking over that tertiary level that like I really don't think humans needed to be doing in the first place. And like honestly, that's just because I finally have my paintbrush and I was never able to paint, and now like I'm able to put out my creative output and be better and compete in this segment that I couldn't access before. And it's just I think it's forcing humans to just be more creative and be more original in the first place.
So Graslow said, as AI increases productivity, it leaves more time for gaming. I'm here for that. Well, I would love to agree with you if people weren't making AI to play the games for us too. So, I mean, just let AI live the human experience, and I'm going to go curl up in a grave somewhere, I guess. I don't know. No, don't need me anymore. We're just here.
I think they're talking about like trying to incorporate empathy into AI and stuff. Like I read some stuff on that, which is interesting.
Well, I'm just saying the fact that like I mentioned the whole NPC TikTok craze earlier, so I'm gonna bring it back up again.
Baby doll.
But the thing is, the fact that a lot of the comments were actually, is this a real person or is this AI? That should be a concern. The fact that humanity is like, as a society, we're starting to get to the point, I would almost argue we're devolving for these clicks and likes, that you can't even discern a human individual versus an AI is kind of concerning. Like, imagine the tech and what can be done with it. We've already seen like news articles run wild with that faked Photoshop, or it wasn't Photoshop, it was the AI generated picture of Trump being arrested. Originally, this was months ago before the actual arrest and stuff happened, and the news articles ate it up because it did look real. It looked 100% legit.
Okay, so here's my counter argument for you and the trends and everything. So what if AI NPC TikToks started spreading like wildfire and there's thousands of them, and then now all the humans can't compete and do that anymore and have to then be more original and create better content? Like, that's my argument here. And
no, I like that. It's true.
Gang, dub. dub with the hit.
Hang on, Jorge. Clear this up for me. Since when is GG gang gang? Because whenever I was growing up, it was good game.
I think it's both.
Gang. Ice cream.
For me, it was always get good. So like, I don't even know like what to.
We don't even know what the hell it is anymore.
I grew up in Call of Duty, you know, and that was always the like, hey, get good. Like,
Yo, I want to know why people in the comments right now are not sending me the cash for doing the gang. Yo, I'm letting you know now, right now. I am. Hey, bear market guys, trying to make money here. Come on, send me ETH wallet, BTC, whatever you want to do.
Oh my god, I don't even.
From a psychological perspective, I think the reason people are very interested in like what that specific TikTok celebrity is doing is like it's kind of like
not just one celebrity. It's the whole genre now.
They all. It's the next only up cycle, essentially. You know, it's a trend. You know, and this is what
but it is addicting. Tell me you guys don't watch it.
It's like a need for control. You know, it's kind of like, it's a need for control, and it's like a dopamine hit, and that's what. Yeah, we're dopamine fiends.
I mean, I consumed the tweets from like Honto and Jonah around it and like watched that. And for me, that was the closed loop. Like after I didn't ever go like tune into one.
Yeah, did I?
You know, like I knew what it was about and then that was it. And like maybe for a couple of seconds the thought crossed my mind of doing it in a fun like for a funny one-off, but like, you know, it's not that interesting. It's a dying trend.
I feel like it wouldn't cater to like intellectuals or like I don't know, maybe that's like mean to say. Like Jinky used the word like devolving, and I agree. Like I maybe like as a fun like research experiment or whatever I would do, but I would get bored so quickly. Like I feel like we're the type of people to like research and like report on it rather than like actually engage.
I made my comments on it. I'm obviously not a fan of the content, and I didn't even mention anything about the creator. And people were like, oh, let them get their bags, blah, blah, blah. Look, guys. So first off, you're only looking at this from their point of view. The reason I take issue with this content, I don't have any issue with the creator. Go get your bag, do your thing. If you want to do OnlyFans, do OnlyFans. You want to be an NPC, be an NPC. Do your thing. I support all creators. The problem that I have with this type of content is not the creator. It's the people supporting the type of content. The fact that these people are making thousands of dollars a day from this type of content tells me that there are a ton of people consuming it, because when you see these donations, most of them are worth cents. You're talking pennies. So for them to make thousands of dollars a day, they are receiving hundreds, if not thousands upon thousands of supporters for every stream that they do like this. And the people consuming that content, like Shay was saying, it could be a controlled thing, 100%. Or it could just be people who love cringy content. It could be people making fun of them on the background and paying them to do it while they laugh, you know? Yeah. There's a lot of factors that could go into it, but that's the issue I have is the audience exists. The audience for the content exists, and that's my problem. It's like, what happened to wanting to watch like Bill Nye the Science Guy or Neil deGrasse Tyson, like educational content? Instead, people are eating up this type of stuff. And it's not just this genre. If you go look at American TikTok and compare it to Chinese TikTok, China, they get fed people doing accomplishments. They get fed like really big news and stuff like that. They get fed doing better, like Jorge was saying. But you look at our TikTok and we get fed this type of stuff constantly because they don't want people to do better.
I feel like what you're speaking to is like just it's like it speaks to like a larger just cancer to society and just the world that the day and age that we live in and like the system and just like how we're subconsciously affected by those things. And I do think in America we kind of deal with it like more so than other countries.
I just realized we went from VC funding to NPC TikTok trends.
Well, to close it off with a crazy hot take. Only Up and NPC content was the same thing, just a little bit different. Like people were literally just lining up to watch people play this game for an hour and then have some dramatic fall moment, right? Like, and then, we got to clip it. And it's the same thing with the freaking CSGO knife case openings. Like,
I disagree. I disagree because when it comes to gaming content, everybody's chasing trends with games. But when it comes to real life content, that's a different ballgame. People don't typically chase trends like this unless it's like hot tub streamers, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing here is the hot tub streamer more so than the getting over it or going up. In my
I just
opinion.
see people chasing it in our space specifically. The people that would be chasing it are
Oh,
chasing
okay.
it
You're talking about in our space. Got it.
to
No,
the same variety.
no, I agree. No, that makes more sense.
Where's the hot tub? You caught me at hot tub.
Bro, I have a VTuber streamer with a hot tub. I can turn it on in a second.
Oh,
Been
don't,
there,
don't
done
do it on
that.
Kick because they'll kick you out of the hot tub category. Apparently, you have to be in a real hot tub. You can't be VTubing.
Hey, they didn't kick me out on Twitch when I did it. It was great.
Yeah, but it's funny you guys say this, right? So actually, I set up my TikTok in Ecuador while I was out there. I have my TikTok on my one phone, and like the TikTok stuff that I get in Ecuador is completely different than the stuff here in America. It's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is so wild. Like what is like in different countries. Like to me, that's like of course I study it for a marketing standpoint, but it is pretty wild to see the difference.
And that's why it's wild for North America and for us like to be defining what Web3 is, because like the way South America is using Web3, the way Asia is using Web3, and specifically Web3 gaming, like they're what we're talking about people being doing like 2 years from now, and they're doing it now. It's like widespread over there. It's nuts.
I mean, I'm just saying, remember America was, I believe, the home of the Tide Pod challenge. Everybody else is building Web3. We're over here eating Tide Pods.
It's funny you say that because I had a meme that I posted up a couple of days ago where I don't know if anybody caught it, but it was I forgot, America's is doing really well. We used to put how to fix your car and like how to like rotate your car on, and now we have like please don't eat the battery as a sign in your like manual or something.
Yeah.
So it's like it's things like that. It's pretty sad that we're evolving to that, but
it is what it is, unfortunately. I mean, I work in IT, right? And I love technology. I absolutely do. But I think it's due to technology that we're regressing as a society. I fully believe that, and that's based off my experiences both pre and post internet, because believe it or not, I'm older than I look. I grew up before the internet was, in every house, or in most houses for that matter. And people definitely were different before the age of social media. And I hate to be one of those guys, but I think it's because back before the era of the internet, you had to talk to people in person. And if you said something to somebody's face that was inappropriate, you get knocked out for it. And that doesn't happen anymore.
It's definitely a paradox. Yeah.
I'm just
totally
saying.
agree. I can see that.
Like we've improved, we've become more respectful in the sense that, okay, well, you said something I don't like, I'm not going to punch you. But we've also kind of gotten to the point where people are getting away saying all kinds of sense that they shouldn't be saying. But that's a whole different topic. That being said, we can get into the last spicy convo of the day. This I feel like hopefully I don't have to mute nobody.
Jorge's been on the edge of his seat.
he wanted to open with it. He's like, no, that's the first thing I want to talk about. But we got quite a few people in the audience who stuck around, so I'm glad you guys made it to the final topic, and that is going to be Grant from Wagyu Games stepping down and the whole ended block situation. So I'm gonna tell you guys what I know. I know that Kyle is stepping up. He's kind of gonna be, taking the reins from the sounds of things. Grant is, I don't know if he's officially gone based on the announcement. He's stepping down, but he never specified whether it was for good or a period of time. He's just stepping back. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Personally, there's both sides of the argument here. Like, I do see that there's reason to be concerned, but I also believe that it is kind of being overblown a little bit. I don't think it's going to necessarily result in an immediate rug pull, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think first, like, let's do one thing first, is that most of these Web3 founders come into the space and hey, like a Web3 founder could be the developer, right? And saying, hey, I'm going to develop the game or whatever. And then at that point has to also be the CEO of the company. But the CEO, as the company evolves, might not be the role for him, right? For that person, because essentially they like to develop the game. Like that's what they like to do. They like to code. They like to do, I don't know, they could be a marketing genius and they like to market. They don't want to, And so being the CEO sometimes is just not like exactly what it's supposed to be entailed. And in the Web3 space, where crypto Twitter is a phenomenal at footing, like it's a pretty hard role to be a CEO in Web3 Twitter. Like it's not easy. So like there's a lot of factors to that, right? And then there's a lot of factors that just being a CEO. Like most of the CEOs in Web3 have never been a CEO before and don't know what it's like to lead a company, right? Again, that role might not be for them. And it's not to say like I think what you're seeing, if there's a reshuffle or doing the executive team for the better of the company, that makes a lot of sense, right? I don't know what exactly the situation is there. Now, if I look at like who Grant is, a finance genius who like worked at Goldman Sachs, blah, 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 like, I don't know, maybe it's not being the CEO for him. And if you look at Kyle, who loves to speak, is a great speaker in the sense of like, hey, gamer, blah, 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 maybe he is the right person to be the vocal point of Undead, right? Who knows? Like those are questions internally, right? I look at it from the external. Now, you also have to factor in a couple other things. They were first movers with the FPS stuff, right? Like not to say first movers, but they're one of them. I would classify them with one of them. They raised a lot of money. Where are we with it, right? Like it takes a long time to build some of these games, right? I think Dub, you've played Undead Blocks, and it's like one of those things like there's only so much you could play within Undead Blocks. There's so much you can do, and so like again, building a good game takes long time. And I think what happened with Undead is that there was a lot of hype for it. And I think everybody was excited about Undead. At one point, your whole Twitter was Undead Blocks, like Undead Blocks this. And if you don't deliver it again in this space by tomorrow, you get fudded. And by the next day, everybody sells, right? And that's just the way that the space is. It's a hard space to navigate in.
So earlier though, Jorge, you were talking about all these projects coming into the space, no financial experience, no runway, etc. So how would it make sense to put Kyle in charge of business development when you just said that Grant is a financial genius and they're putting Kyle, who is more of a gamer dude bro, in charge of their business development?
Well, I think business development is also another word that's very thrown out in Web3 that like doesn't really mean the same as in Web 2, right? Like when I look at Web 2 business development, it's a whole different dynamic. Here in Web 3, it's more of like, hey, go get partnerships, like create the Telegram channel group together. Let's do a little marketing here and there. Let's do a Twitter space together. Like that's what business development is in Web 3, right? Like there's not really much more to it. And maybe an MOU letter, some of those that do want to use it to say, yeah, we're going to work together. And that's it. That's all it is. So business development to me is a very funny word used in Web 3. And so I think Kyle's been doing that already. Like if I look at and I've been to almost every single crypto conference events. I've always seen Kyle at crypto events. And not to say Grant's always gotten stuck behind the desk and hasn't been able to come out. So to me, like you've already had Grant doing like
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, like maybe he was that person for it. We don't know what the change is coming yet for like what the executive team is going to be doing or what's the behind the scenes. But yeah, again, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. Like, what about like, the NFTs and where is the next game? They announced mobile. There's just a lot of things that again, this is a tough space to build in. Where's Dub at? Because I know he's laughing. Right
He's on mute. He's on mute.
He's like, I'm going to just bite my tongue.
Step up to the... You're on
you
mute.
Are muted still.
You're on mute.
Sorry, two things, two simple things. The first and foremost, it's a very poor remake of Call of Duty Zombies with Web3 elements, which we talked about earlier being a format that shouldn't be in this space in the first place. The second is that it was clearly built for the degen market, sold to the degens, and I'm sorry, like this wasn't the one to spend the money on, and it's relevant and it you can see it. I mean, like It's why you should play the game first and make sure you enjoy the game before you decide to get financially involved with it.
So man, this one's tough. So I actually like undead blocks. The thing about Call of Duty Zombies is it doesn't really have enough support from Activision. You might get an update once in a blue moon. Maybe they'll feed you a bone and give you a new map every 6 months if you're lucky. I think Undead Blocks had a real opportunity here and still has a real opportunity here to have that COD zombie focus. I understand that they're remake like the concept already exists. I get that. But if they can make a game focused around that, because it has never been a focus for Activision, I think that they could be onto something. My issue with the game comes from the lack of progress. Now, unlike Jorge, I'm not necessarily one of those gamers that wants it tomorrow, but I have talked to them, both Kyle, Grant, like in spaces, behind closed doors, and I've told them what I believe they need to find more success, because there is an issue with only having one map and a handful of weapons, right? You're going to get bored 100%. And it doesn't take a year to create one new weapon, or maybe even the early makings of, hey, here's a new alpha tested map, like here's a new map that we want to alpha test. We're going to put it in the game, but it's not finished, right? I have not seen enough progress from Undead Blocks to be interested in Undead Blocks long term. You see what I'm saying? Because I've already played the one map. I've already run 20, 30 waves of the game. That's the whole game. There's nothing new for me to experience. There's no new Easter eggs. There's no new weapons for me to farm. There's no new enemies for me to kill. That is the problem. Is it's okay to take a while to build a good game, because it should take a while to build a good game. But if you have a game live, you need to give the players something to keep it fresh. Imagine if Fortnite only released an update once every 6 months to a year. It would not be the powerhouse it is today. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I want to say two things to what you just said, right? First is that we haven't seen the community like FUD. I haven't seen any FUD from Undead Blocks, really, to be honest with you, after this announcement, right? Like, this is a pretty major announcement, and this didn't go viral as it was supposed to. Like, I mean,
depends on your bubble, because I was about to say I saw quite a few.
Well,
I mean, do they have a community to even go viral anymore with?
Okay.
That's where it came from. I mean,
but yeah,
who cares?
I mean, I always go on Twitter, do the search bar, and I type in Undead Blocks, and I try to see like how much of it is like active right now, and it's like, okay, whatever. But again, you know, it goes back to, I think Undead Blocks had also spent a lot of time on building the tech for their token and for like what they're doing for their token, like however it is, because I remember that being like such a big release for them. And so like, I almost want to say they probably spent a little too much time or focus on or developing the tech for that than they should have on the game. But who knows? I mean, shit, they might come out next week and they'd be like, fuck, here's the whole game, you fucking assholes. Who knows?
But the thing is, that's it. If I had the full game right now, I'd probably be playing Undead Blocks every night, because the concept is fun. And yes, I could go play the Call of Duty version, but the Call of Duty version isn't what I want, right? There's a reason we're in Web 3. And I want that full-blown dedicated experience. I don't want some spin-off that was originally designed as part of like the whole multiplayer experience, the PvP, blah, blah, blah. I want a dedicated zombie game. I want my Left 4 Dead fix, you know? I don't want Call of Duty Zombies. I want Left 4 Dead. That's kind of how I look at it.
Go play Revenge then. You'll have a lot more fun.
I tried Revenge. I'm not going to comment on that game, because I was taught if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So, no, the game is good, but it's early. Like, it's super early and it's very unpolished. But they have a lot to work with, and I think if they do what I was telling Undead Blocks to do, I'm sorry, Undead Blocks.
They need to hire you as an advisor. Undead Blocks needs you on it as an advisor, clearly. Yeah, I'll just chime in really quickly. Honestly, I haven't followed what exactly happened. I know that when I came across like Grant last year, like he seemed very intensely involved. And whenever I thought of Undead Blocks, I just think of Grant, because he was just so like public facing. with everything. I know that they were on the Immutable like marketplace or something, and they seem to have had like a few milestones with that. I always thought it was impressive that they had some sort of playing game, whether it was like good or not. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye, and it's going to be interesting to see how things develop for them.
So here's where I will give some optimism towards Ended Blocks. So I've talked with Kyle before, and you know, somebody in the audience mentioned the mobile version as well. So I don't know if they ever did. I'm pretty sure they didn't, but they were going to release a mobile version. And I flat out told Kyle in a space, I'm like, hey, I don't think you guys are ready for mobile. I was like, you can't even retain players on PC, and mobile, you need a lot more dopamine hit to keep players going. There's a reason a lot of the games that we don't necessarily like in the West are popular in the East, and that's because of those dopamine hits and the ability to, what's the belief over there? Win at all costs, which means shelling out your wallet. So, you know, I told them, I was like, I don't think you guys should launch mobile. I was like, your retention rate will be abysmal. After 30 days, I almost guarantee you may have a 1% retention rate at best. And they didn't. They've decided not to launch mobile, at least at the time. Like I said, I don't know if they have since then. I'm pretty sure they haven't. And that's because I talked to Kyle. So there is some optimism here that if we can, maybe Grant was the one making the decisions that weren't necessarily game oriented. Maybe he was more the financial guy and he was more the business guy. Maybe having Kyle as that gamer dude bro is going to be beneficial because he's going to push for changes that will benefit the game rather than the finances. So that's just some food to consider, because if we can get him and he lights a fire under the devs' butts, we get like another map or two, we get some more weapons, some more enemy variety. Basically give me a reason to play and come back and enjoy it and repeat what I'm doing. Because right now, I don't know. I just like, I have ADHD, right? Trying to play the same exact game and the whole experience can be summarized in about 10 to 15 minutes. And you want me to play that for hours on end, hoping I earn a little money. I'm sorry, I get paid better, you know, taking on a second job than I do grinding a game. So
I hope that happens for them. I hope that they salvage it, because the last thing that our space needs is just like another failure, to be honest. So
I don't think they're gonna fail. Well, at least not yet.
I hope gamers don't play it for at least like a year or two. Like they're just gonna turn around and leave the space. Like,
what's happening with that? Reminds me, what's happening with Star Atlas? Are they building now? Are they good now?
Oh, they're building.
Okay,
they
good.
just dropped major. So they have 5,000 concurrent players in a live server. They also just launched a fitness app. So it's really interesting having an ecosystem where it's like actually using Web3 in a cool way beyond just saying like, oh, my game's innovative. Like, that's why you should also buy the NFT. Like, you can go and do physical exercise that impacts your in-game play and looting ships and stuff. And like, that's cool. And beyond, and that can only be there because of what, I mean, I guess a game could do it, but like, it would be complicated.
I just wasn't sure if after the whole FTX thing and like,
no, they just literally yesterday, they launched a couple of announcements as like a keynote. And they actually
still the CEO there.
Yeah. And the other interesting thing I heard was they have around 1,000 active DAOs still that are making the plans, managing the ships, because the ships themselves, like the enterprise ones, require like 60 to 80 active players doing unique things for the ship to operate and everything. So they're really trying to create like an EVE Online type of feel or whatever. So I'm excited to see what they do.
I'll say that the guilds and that Star Atlas, the way they nurtured that and created that is what's making Star Atlas, I think, so successful to this day. Is that community.
Their community is so strong. It's crazy.
And I think it might be, hey, like one of the key features that I've always loved about Star Atlas was the first day they came out to the 10th day they came out to the 100th day, they've always told you the game is not going to be out for another 3 or 5 years. So they set the expectation with everybody that this game is not for a long time coming. And I think that is what made the people wanting to invest or like be more comfortable with it. And I think like if you look at marketing to Web3 games and you look at how they did it, again, success might be there that you tell, hey, we're 2 years out, so everything right now what you're buying is to help fund the project. You know what I mean?
So
Yeah, and
there's when it comes to undead blocks though, there's a bit of a snag with that. You can say that the full game's coming in 2 years, but they launched open beta last year. Open beta. I'm a QA tester from Web 2, right? I've actually worked with studios and I've done QA testing. If you label something a beta, that should be your near complete product. At that point in the development process, you are working on polishing and bug fixes, not your core loop, not additional content. You should be fixing things. And they launched this as an open beta with one map and a handful of weapons. I want to agree and I want to say take time and say, hey, you know, this game's not coming for a few more years. But when you have these studios mislabeling the development process during their game, I feel like you kind of set yourself up for whatever negative criticisms you get. And it's not just Undead Blocks that does this. So this isn't something I take personal beef with Undead Blocks, and this is a Web3 thing. As somebody in the audience just pointed out, Web3 broke that. Beta now means kinda started. It's true. It's true. I've played in so many betas, quote unquote betas, and I'm like, no, this is an alpha at best. At best. Most of these probably qualify as pre-alphas. And that's what's driving me nuts, because even Meta Ops, God rest their soul, I love the game. Hopefully they can get the funding and come back and be the project I know they can be. But even they wanted to launch open beta, and I told them, you are not ready for beta. You are not. You do not have the content. They launched open beta. They did not pull in the players they were hoping to. The market never took off, and now they had to shut down the servers and stuff because there just wasn't enough money flow. Get your process right. The expectations from players. If I go to Steam and I go and buy an early access game, there is a big banner that says this is not the final product, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to Undead Blocks, you do not see that warning until you actually download, install, and open the game. At that point, they're like, it's not finished yet. Well, if it's not finished, why is it a beta?
No, you make a good point. They should be more strategic with their terminology that they're using.
I'm just saying, this is me coming from the Web 2 QA tester point of view. It's nothing specific to Undead Blocks. Like, gamers have expectations based on what you promote it as. If it's an alpha, your expectations are going to be a lot more lenient than beta, especially an open beta. So
I think it's something that's going to be written about. Even like, I think people are going to do analysis on the Web3 market or whatever, like years from now, and they're going to be like, yeah, these guys were so weird because they're in their little micro silo, and like, normally when a game studio would start, they'd have to go through Steam or go through some credited organization that would be like, no, this is alpha, not beta, like all of these things, right? And it's like, because of this market and the bull run and the degens running things, that is just like, yeah, I called it a beta because I thought that made sense. Like, is alpha next? You know, like it's just new people to this market, and they're stuck inside their like little elementary school. I don't know. It's weird.
I'm just saying, that's why I think I like Dead Drop so much.
Preschool. Dub, we are in preschool.
But no, I think that's why I like Dead Drop so much, is because they're not calling it an alpha or a beta. They're saying, hey, here's our vertical slice. And everybody in gaming knows what a vertical slice is. It's that simple. But when you tell me again, like, we're launching open beta, I'm expecting a near finished product. That is what a beta is. Simple as that. If you're still building, if you're still early, it's either alpha or pre-alpha.
I go back to my original top statement. There's Web3 games made for degens, and there's Web3 games made to be games. You know, and there's a clear distinction between the two.
So
that's how we wrap the show up. Boom. Web3 degens and Web3 gamers. Currently, Dub says there's two different worlds. Play to Earn is still alive. It's for the gaming degens and for the casino gambling people. And so if you're still building Play to Earn, it's going to be on Solana. Is it on Solana or no?
No, I don't think so.
Play to earn's never gonna die. Believe it or not, play to earn is in Web 2. It's called CS:GO, World of Warcraft, EVE Online. Pretty much any game that you can convert your playtime into real world money in some form or fashion. People just don't. They're not ready for that discussion. They don't want that one yet. Web 3 invented play to earn. Remember?
Yeah, and StepN still stands behind move to earn. I talked to their head guys for a long time yesterday.
Boom, 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 gang, gang, ice
anywhere.
cream, pop, pop, pop.
Do people play stuff in? I feel like their shoes are so expensive.
Yeah.
I skipped stepping.
It crashed like the rest of the degen stuff, you know, like market cycles.
Yeah, it's a cool concept though, for sure.
Kobe said, "Now we have a title to separate it." Points to Dub.
Appreciate you, Kobe.
Yeah, no, I really liked Dub's takes and contributions. We should have him on more often.
Oh, I've been subbing for you for the past like
3 weeks.
Like put me on the JPEG already. This is crazy.
I feel like we lose followers sometimes with Dub. So like it's kind of.
Hey, I can sit on the bench and whenever you need me, just send the Dub signal.
I wasn't on last week. Okay, so you were on last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I get pinged like 5 minutes before this thing starts, and I just come in hot.
Wow, I love that. Okay.
Wow.
Well, we try to get you earlier, but it depends on when I get confirmation from everybody.
No worries.
Looking at all you guys.
Appreciate you, Dub, for coming onto the show. You always bring the energy that we need. You always bring the spicy takes. You make me. I just went and bought a bag of Solana because now like I'm like bullish on Solana again. I was like, holy shit! Like,
there's a couple new DJing games coming out that I really am bullish on.
Man,
we should chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna go buy the phone right now. I'm actually ordering the phone right now because I want to be able to play on my.
Wait.
The representation the phone had at the event was so bad. There was a table in the corner and it had a little thing that said Saga on it, and that was it.
So, Dub, wait, you're telling me that Solana has games that aren't just simulated coin flip gambling degens?
I am telling you that. I sat side by side with the team with G2 pros, and at the end of the day, they all said they enjoy the games, and I'm linking up to do collab streams with them in the future. So,
did you ask them if they were paid to be there or no?
Well, of course they're paid to be there. That's how this thing works.
Wanted to make sure.
You gotta clarify.
You gotta pay to play.
All right. Is anybody got any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
We'll be on next week. We're gonna bring on saucier shit. I'm sure there's gonna be stuff happening in the market in this next week. I don't know, like anything
Hope so.
else.
I want more news.
Yeah. Until then, Solana, ice cream, slay.
I mean, if we're doing the NPC thing, then I guess I'll just read my spiel. And that's a wrap, folks. Another exhilarating episode. I can't even do it with a straight face. Damn it. This is why I can't do the NPC trend. Okay,
oh, man. That's all she wrote.
I see, and that's how they have talent. They can hold a straight face. But that's going to be a wrap for us, folks. This was another great episode of the Block Sauce. Thanks again, Dub, for joining us, impromptu, last-minute panelist. And thank you, Shay and Jorge, for joining us again this week. Love you guys' faces. We always seem to have the greatest discussions. And of course, we couldn't have done it without our amazing supporters and viewers. Your engagement and passion fuel our drive to bring you the hottest topics and thought-provoking conversations week after week. So make sure that you follow us on socials, drop us a comment on YouTube if you've got any topics you'd like us to touch on, and join us next week for whatever we decide to talk about. And maybe we'll have the same panel. Maybe we'll have a consistent panel for 2 weeks in a row. Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
But that's going to be it for all. That's going to be all for us today, folks. So thank you for joining and have another excellent week. Goodbye.
Cheers.
Where's my end button? There's the end button.